Hi everyone, welcome to Focus on the Five. I am Josh Knoll with Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. If you've ever wondered how Baldwin County, Alabama competes both nationally and internationally for economic development, then you're definitely going to want to hear what my next guest has to say. His name is Lawson, and he's with the Baldwin County Economic Development Alliance, and he has some fascinating information and stories regarding Baldwin County and its future. I hope you all enjoy the discussion, and let's roll tape.
Welcome to Focus on the Five, conversations with Baldwin County business leaders and entrepreneurs, brought to you by Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. And now, Josh Knoll.
All right, hey, welcome everybody to Focus on the Five. My name is Josh Knoll with Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, coming to you from downtown Fairhope. Thank you for joining us today. Today I'm very excited to be joined by a guest. I'm honored that he came on. His name is Mr. Lawson of Baldwin County Economic Development Corporation, the president. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give Lee just a brief moment to describe who he is and what he does. And then we're going to dive into really the point of this show is having conversation with Baldwin County area business owners, business leaders, entrepreneurs. Well, I don't think we have anybody better to kind of set the stage for the entire show, really, than someone that deals with those types of folks and is a Baldwin County business leader than Mr. Lawson. So, Mr. Lee, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Josh, thanks. Lee Lawson. Our organization is the Baldwin County Economic Development Alliance. We're a 501c6 organization that is funded by the public sector, the county, every municipality in the county, and then over 100 private businesses. And our main job is to grow the economy and grow jobs in Baldwin County is a simple way to put it. We work all across the county. There are 5 different chambers of commerce in Baldwin County, and those 5 chambers actually appoint my board of directors. So we truly are what our name says, an alliance of the entire county working to grow the economy and continue to grow Baldwin County.
Awesome. Okay. Well, as we were talking a little bit before the show, when we originally started putting it together, wanted to be really shining a spotlight on Baldwin County area business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are out there making things happen.
Sure.
And what we have found is, we've already had several thousand views on the first couple shows, which is really exciting. Thank you all for paying attention. And the neat thing is we got a lot of people watching that are not from Baldwin County.
Right.
All over, not just Alabama, but we've got people tuning in, Mississippi, Florida, things like that. And I think part of that is a curiosity of what's going on in Baldwin County.
Sure.
So, for those, let's you and I take it from here, because you and I both know, Baldwin County from a business standpoint, from living here, from you growing up here, I believe.
I didn't grow up here.
Okay, but close. You were
sure.
in
My wife did.
Yeah, that's right. So that's your route. So if you had to describe, what makes Baldwin County, Alabama, so special and so much in the conversation right now?
So you and your wife, Jim, moved here when?
We moved here going on 5 years ago from Missouri. Now, I'm originally from southeast Missouri.
Sure.
Because you don't want anybody thinking I'm too Yankee talking to you here.
Right.
A couple hours north of Memphis, but we had lived for many years in Kansas City.
Right. So 5 years ago, you moved here. My wife and I relocated here about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And so, I think what makes Baldwin County special to the people we talk to, and we have an interesting mix of people that are moving to Baldwin County and have been for several years and even over a decade plus now with just the boom and growth. But really 65 to almost 70% of our growth is net in migration. So when you talk about the growth, that means people are coming from outside of our trade area.
That's not just more children being born.
Well, and that's not just people regionally shifting, between Pensacola and Mobile or along the Gulf Coast. That's people coming in. So 65, almost 70% of our growth, which our growth is leading the country almost. We're in the top 10 in growth for the entire country. We're definitely leading the state of Alabama. 70% of that, almost 70% of that's from outside of our region. So we're getting a lot of attention from people that are coming to us, whether it's job, whether it's retirement, because we have a healthy retirement or near retirement population, or it's people like you and me, professionals with young families wanting to be in a place with values and aspects of the community that we really value, which is a great quality of life. You definitely don't have to shovel snow here,
Yeah.
but you definitely have to weather the July heat, which we're doing right now. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of trade-off.
There's a
Most
trade-off.
people like the trade-off, as our growth shows.
Well, we were amazed when we first moved in and we had all these coats and we're looking around our house for a place to put it, and come to find out there's no coat closet.
It's the attic.
It's the attic, yeah. So and I've worn my coats
Or it's
maybe
good, or
three
it's good,
times.
or it's Goodwill. You keep one, and
yeah.
you put the other 4 in Goodwill.
Yeah, I put on my leather jacket this past winter, and it looked like something from my dad's closet. No offense. And I said, well, okay, this is going straight to Goodwill. Yeah. Plus the ice scrapers. The ice scrapers are in my garage, living a lonely life. So there's a lot of a lot of contributing factors to Baldwin County.
Sure.
I think it's at a very special place in its growth. I think it's in a special place with people really discovering how temperament the winters are down here. And even though, yes, it is hot, we're surrounded by water. I mean, if you're hot, jump in something.
Right.
You got plenty of areas to go.
Yeah, I mean, what we have too, one of the aspects that really sells our area is the ability for recreation in the outdoors. So,
Right.
When you look at quality of life, that's another aspect of being able to be on the water. The Delta, which borders our county, has been ranked and studied by scientists as one of the most diverse ecosystems
Right.
next to the Amazon
Right.
in the entire world.
Totally agree.
When you look at the number of species of animals and plant life and things that you can discover in that ecosystem, it's one of the most diverse and unique places really in the world.
And you can get to it as opposed to Louisiana swamp or the
Right.
Amazon.
Yeah,
can
I mean,
actually,
you
can
can-
take your boat.
You can
and
put
see
your
a
boat
lot
in
of
on the
it.
causeway,
Yes.
and within 20 to 30 minutes
You're in a
be in the
different
middle of
world.
the Delta. You're in the middle of a different world. You go north,
Yep.
you're in a different world. You go south, you're in a different world. So I mean,
Couldn't
it's
agree
just a
more.
beautiful place.
Right.
So we're the #1 visited destination in Alabama.
Oh, I mean, just
So
the
from a tourism population standpoint, that's another big piece of our economy.
Right. I think it's the Arts and Crafts Fair here in downtown Fairhope they have every year. I learned that come Thursday night before I'm shutting down. There's no point in trying to get down here. I don't remember the exact number, but it is in the tens of thousands that visits for that. I mean, it's incredible. So I think they do a really good job of keeping those things too. What makes it a little bit different down here, I think, is those things kind of continue all year round. I mean, there is something to do every single month that's here.
Sure.
But the only thing that you don't have a lot of competition on would be Mardi Gras time. But for those of you that think, again, that are not from the area viewing the show, a lot of times when you think of Mardi Gras, you think of New Orleans and wild party and crazy things like that. I can tell you now, having gone through 5 Mardi Gras down here, it's very family oriented. I mean, even Mobile, to be fair, is somewhat family oriented depending on the parade you pick.
Oh, absolutely.
But definitely over here between Daphne, Fairhope, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, I mean, you have got so many things you can do with the kids where they get to experience the Mardi Gras experience. But they can totally safe environment. There's no real rowdiness, things like that.
Well, a great fun fact for your viewers from not in our region. Mobile is actually the original home of Mardi Gras,
Right.
where it was founded. So, if you get a chance, come visit and see what really a good family-friendly, enjoyable Mardi Gras experience looks like.
Yeah, I didn't realize that when we moved down, but I think
Sure.
that's very cool. There's a lot of story to that. Anytime that there is a business announcement that involves multi-millions in Baldwin County, you're going to see Lee Lawson's name with it, right?
Well, you'll see our organization's name. I mean, from where I sit, economic development is really a team sport, and
Right.
so I mean, not one person, not one organization makes these projects happen. We happen to be the quarterback in the lead on a lot of these opportunities because that's really what our organization does. That's what we specialize in, and that's our role. But really, it starts at the local level from your mayor, your city council, your county commission, and your elected officials really being a part of the process,
Right.
doing the right things in their communities. That's another thing about Baldwin County. So we're about 13 municipalities strong in a
Right.
county of 213,000
And the
people.
county physically is huge.
It's huge. It's one of the largest counties, landmass wise,
Right.
east of the Mississippi River. So I mean, we have a lot of landmass. We have a lot of diversity. So I mean, we're really about 3 or 4 counties in one. If you look at geography,
couldn't agree
you look
more.
at economy, you look at just all the different demographics of our county. But really, it takes a team, and it takes people developing their community every day. When it comes to our local chambers of commerce partners, our local elected officials. and other business owners that are plugged into each community, wanting to grow it and grow it in the right way. And so, I mean, all these things, I think a lot of people think economic development is this announcement, and that's the definition of economic development.
You became an overnight.
Right, yeah, these things just happen. They fall in your lap, and the TV cameras show up, and you're announcing hundreds of jobs and millions of dollars of capital investment by, a foreign company or a new investor in your community. But it takes a long time. Our lead cycles, our sales cycles are very, very long, and it takes a lot of work to get those to the, when you see them in the newspaper, you see them on TV.
I don't remember what actor or musician it was, but the comment that always stuck with me is they were interviewing him, and he said, it took me 10 years to become an overnight sensation.
That's right.
And I think
that's a lot like our business, for sure.
So when I was, the summer between my freshman and my sophomore year, I grew about 3 or 4 inches, and I gained about 20 pounds, and felt like someone was ripping my chest apart, and came back to school that next year, just super tall, dark, and handsome like I am now.
Sure.
Or at least not
tall.
Not tall.
Yep.
But taller than I was.
Right.
And broader than I was.
Mm-hmm.
But it hurt. I mean, it was one of the most miserable.
Growing pains.
Yep. So, Baldwin County, without a doubt, is going through growing pains.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm glad I look back and I'm glad I went through those growing pains, because otherwise I'd be but how do you balance that with, on one hand, you've got this really not just the things you're saying, but you also have these trends of, we are super incredibly attractive to these large corporations because of the regulatory environment we have, because of the education of the workforce, of the availability of the workforce.
Yeah.
So you have all these things going for it, but on the other hand, you have people that are like, can you pump the brakes a little bit?
Right.
How do you balance that? Because I know you hear it.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance, because with growth comes responsibility, and responsibility for accommodating that growth, both from an infrastructure standpoint and accommodating that growth. But the way we look at it, Josh, is kind of, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so that's kind of how we look at it. Now I think there's ways to be responsible in growth and plan for it. And the kind of growth we've had, you really can't plan for it. I mean, it's been at such a breakneck pace that a lot of our folks are keeping up. And part of that is it's a long conversation. It's probably longer than we have time for today. But what I will say is that the types of growth that we're seeing, both in jobs and in people, are high income earners, high income producing jobs. And so those are the kind that can move your community forward. Now, if you're just growing at a rate that keeps the income levels the same or regressing, then the tax coffers don't fill up. Therefore, you can't invest in infrastructure. You can't invest in accommodating that growth. I can take people who don't want to see growth in their community and show them communities that aren't growing. They're not attractive. And so what we deal with every day when we're talking to companies and corporate entities that can really truly invest anywhere in the world, and then those are the types of companies we're talking to.
Anywhere in the world. That's important to know.
They're measuring us. They're benchmarking our community against other communities in the U.S., but also other communities in the world for their investment. And so what really the number one factor that's risen to the top, now all the things we've talked about are very important, but the number one factor that's really risen to the top are people, workforce. And that's the number one site location factor for all the consultants that we talk to and the companies that we talk to is, do you have the people, not only today, but do you have the people for the next 10, 20 years? Can you show me growth patterns over the last 10 years that say, even through the recession, you grew? And we're one of the few communities out there in the Southeast and in the country that says, yes, we can show you the heart of the recession, and we can still show you our growth trend line doing this.
No county, no suburb, no city can stand alone on its own. So I would think that a lot of this also ties in with the healthier that Mobile gets and the healthier Pensacola gets, the healthier that Baldwin County gets, the more attractive this becomes. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the companies don't see city lines or
Right.
county lines. I mean, a lot of us do because we live here,
Right.
and we live in Fairhope, or we live in Bay Minette or
Right.
Robertsdale. Wherever you live, you think, all right, this is my community,
Right.
and I know where the line of Robertsdale and Silver Hill and Fairhope meet.
Right.
The companies we're talking to don't see that. They don't even see the Baldwin County line. So when we're pitching
That's a
to
good point.
a company, we're pitching that there's 1 million people in our trade area
That's right.
between Pensacola, Baldwin County, and Mobile, because really, and even Southwest Alabama, because really that's our trade area.
Right.
We live in a worldwide economy, and we live in an economy that really doesn't see geographical boundaries either.
Correct.
And so neither do the companies we're talking to, because what they're doing, if they're manufacturing or if they're in white collar service sector, they're more than likely their business is reaching outside of Baldwin County to survive
Right.
and to be successful. And so that's how we really frame our community. We frame it as a region.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of folks are starting to realize that Baldwin County not only competes, the days of just Baldwin County competing at a state level, competing at a regional level, even competing at a national level. It's moved on beyond that. I mean, you're really
Yeah.
talking to international companies.
Oh, no
more
doubt.
often than not at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah, no doubt. And you'd be, a lot of people be surprised. We may compete with several other locations in Alabama initially,
Right.
but typically when we're down to a company making a final decision, we're not competing against somebody in Alabama.
Right.
We're competing maybe with another southeastern state,
Right.
or another state altogether, or they're in an international location trying to figure out their first U.S. or North American investment. And so, really that's where we see us differentiating ourselves. It's not differentiating ourselves between us and Mobile,
Right.
or us and Huntsville, or us and Montgomery, or wherever the location is. It's really differentiating ourselves between us and another southeastern state location. The port plays a big role in that. I mean, from a logistics perspective and
Right.
just an international access. We have one of the top 10 ports in the country. Last
Right.
year, the container terminal at the Port of Mobile was the fastest growing container terminal in the country.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and so I mean, just with that growth alone and that ability to, if you make something or you need to get something here, and you can touch all corners of the world.
Plus
and,
railroad hubs and things of that nature.
So another interesting fact for your viewers, we're spitting
Right.
a lot of those out today.
No, that's good.
The
This is
Port
what
of
they-
Mobile is the only port in the U.S. where all 5 Class 1 railroads converge.
I'll say that again.
So there's 5 Class 1 railroads,
Right.
the big railroads in our country,
Yep.
in North America, and the Port of Mobile is the only place where all 5 come together via rail.
No kidding.
No kidding.
This is it.
This is it.
That's
This is the
incredible.
place.
That's incredible. All right.
So there will be a test at the end. So the original home of Mardi Gras and the only place where all 5 Class 1 railroads converge. We are unique in the fact that we have 5 chambers of commerce that fulfill a role in their community with small businesses and with community development, and then they funnel up into our organization for us being the lead for economic development countywide. So I mean, it's a unique structure. I haven't seen a structure like it
I
out
haven't
there.
either.
But we do. I mean, and we work with each community in our county to understand their vision for what economic development is. So economic development in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach is something that creates maybe some white collar jobs, but doesn't put any additional strain on the infrastructure because they have 6.5 million people a year coming to their 31 miles of beaches.
Right.
So I mean, they're already stressed and compressed, for about 6 to 7 months out of the year.
Right.
And really, that's starting to be a wraparound season for them. Even the shoulder season isn't as soft anymore.
Dude, you're completely right on that.
So I mean, you and then in North Baldwin County, economic development means advanced manufacturing. It means the mega site. It means a large job creator and capital investment creation opportunity that can really take that community to the next level.
Right.
And then on the Eastern Shore, it's white collar, it's healthcare, it's the same mix of new job creation that is high paying but doesn't put a whole lot of strain on the taxes and the infrastructure, and fits with the the community and what it's set up for. Our growth was young professionals and their families, with families, and then it was near retirement or retirees.
Right.
And so we'll continue to see both of those population segments grow. We'll continue to see job growth. I mean, we grew about 3%, 3.5% every year really for the last 10, 15 years in this community. We'll continue to do that. By 2030, we'll go from the 7th largest county in this state to the 4th. We'll surpass Montgomery in growth.
No kidding.
And that's what my growth trajectories say. That's what the University of Alabama and Auburn. We didn't have any bias there. We let both of them look at our numbers. And so, but we'll continue to grow. We'll grow. The housing market is back. We're at pre-recession. Sales levels have exceeded and volume has exceeded both of those targets. So we're adding volume. We're adding places for people to live. And I think the next 5, 10, 15 years, we've got some great opportunities on our horizon from a job creation standpoint. So we want to continue to diversify the economy to help balance the tourism. So our top job creators currently and top employers are still retail and food and accommodation, supporting those 6.5 million visitors I talked to you about earlier from a tourism perspective. Those jobs are low paying, low skill, and very susceptible to economic blips. So we continue to want to diversify against that, not away from that, because we still need that to be healthy to support that tourism population and the revenues that come with that economy. But we want to continue to diversify away from it so that we're balanced as an economy locally and regionally.
Well, and on any of these things, when you have explosive growth, you can either throw your hands up in the air in frustration and just let things kind of run willy-nilly, or you can spend the time to develop the leadership, to develop the organizations, not to micromanage it necessarily, but what I've seen, the most successful communities I've seen in my years is they basically guided it in a consistent path forward.
Sure.
To where really no one got left behind.
Yeah.
Even the folks that thought they were getting left behind benefited when it was all said and done.
Sure, and I think we have leaders in every community in this county that are really looking hard at that and are putting things in place both from an infrastructure planning standpoint, road. We have 3 major road projects that are all going on in different parts of the county. That each of those roadways right now and each of those corridors are all at a failing grade from a capacity standpoint, and so we're adding capacity in those 3 major road projects. That are being done and leveraged on the back of oil spill money. We've got all these communities looking at stormwater, which is a big, huge need in our community. All of them coming up with creative solutions and trying to find dollars and coming up with dollars themselves to put investment into those. And that's the thing. It's not, it's for people like me and you that live in a community or a citizen that may be out there go, well, I'm not really seeing the investment. Well, you're not going to see investment in infrastructure right away. You may see some new roads, but when you're talking about, utilities and things like that, that's investment that happens that you may not see or feel. But all of our communities they're having to look at that because of the growth. So, in the last round of growth numbers, the top growing communities in the state by percentage were Loxley, Silver Hill, in Summerdale, and Robertsdale. So the central part of our county.
Not necessarily what you would think right off.
Now Fairhope and Daphne and Spanish Fort and Orange Beach Gulf Shores, those known communities for a lot of us are still growing. But like you said, no community getting left behind here. The central part of our county, some of the smaller communities are growing at a great pace too. There's growth all around this county right now.
Question that everybody wants me to ask you is, and you probably have nothing to do with it, but when's the bridge getting built?
Well, there's, like I said, I don't have anything to do with the bridge, thankfully. They would not put me in charge of building a bridge. But, honestly, when we get it funded, and that's where really the work and the effort's going to right now, is there's still a lot of design work that's being done, but it's moving forward more than it ever has in the past. And I think that's the good news, is all these milestones are being met and being moved past, and it's funding right now.
I really think it's coming. It's a multi-generational project.
You talk about, there's kind of a couple things out there on our horizon that really could accentuate the growth. We've talked about it, but that bridge being built would be huge for our region, be huge for our tourism economy, be huge for the port. It just has such an expander on it and a multiplier effect that could really be something that I don't know that there's a valuation that any of us could put on what that
Whatever
would
you
mean
put
for our
would be
region.
low.
Yeah, to have 12 municipalities in one county, and to have the kind of people that we have in leadership, both in the mayoral levels, the council levels, the county commission. I mean, I work with a lot of these people day in and day out, and there are a lot of people who are putting aside their businesses and their careers to serve the communities that they live in and they want to see grow in the right way and grow in a positive way. And I can say this, despite what you see about, some of the disagreements out there, whether it be infrastructure or zoning or whatnot, when we talk about economic development and when we talk about job creation with the leadership in this community, they all come together and they're all pulling in the same direction when it comes to creating great jobs and bringing great companies to our community.
Well, because I think the vast majority of the people that live here, whether you're from here or you moved here, you love this place, and it's something you want to see. We love living here. We love Baldwin County.
Absolutely.
We want it to flourish because we plan on being here forever. We plan, hopefully our kids would like to stay here. And so I think there is, not to pick on maybe some of the larger cities, obviously people get deep roots there as well. But this here, I think everybody that can tell, this is a special time. And if we handle it right and we really invest ourselves, man, we have got something special for generations.
Sure. Well, I mean, just like you, so you got 3 kids, I got 4. I talked to a lot of people from across the country and across this state, and they say, where do you live? And you tell them, Fairhope, Baldwin County, wherever here in our community, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, people go, how do you live there? They want to figure out how do you live there, because it's a vacation destination. It's something that people visit for a weekend and go, gosh, I wish I could figure out how to live here.
Right.
And so that's what drives me and drives our organization is to say, hey, how do we create an economy so that when your kids and my kids are able to enter the workforce, whenever that is and however that is,
and whatever their
specialty may be, whatever career they want to make, they have that option in this community.
Couldn't agree more. When I moved down here, some of my Southeast Missouri family wondered if I was going down to be a 40-year-old cabana boy or something.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah, you're going to work on the beach, right?
So what are you going to do? I thought you did financial advising and insurance. Like there's normal. I say if you want to see, in my opinion, a small town looks like something came out of a movie set. Take a trip to Fairhope, Alabama. It is really neat. And if you travel the United States, you realize just how unique and special it is. So, all right. So on that note, Lee, if someone is watching this and is curious how they reach out to you or what they'd be reaching out to you for, if you wouldn't mind to explain.
Real simple website, www.baldwineda.com. So Baldwin Economic Development Alliance. All the information is there. My contact information is there. A lot of great information on our community. So we kind of scratched the surface on several things that are happening here. Growth numbers, data. We have a ton of that on our website. If you're a business and you're out there interested in locating in our community or growing in our community, there's a lot of resources there. And with our partners at the Chambers of Commerce or Small Business Development Center, Small Business Administration. We have a lot of connected partners that we bring to the table to help our community be successful and grow jobs.
Very good. All right, and again, Lee Lawson, my name is Josh Knoll with Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. At the end of this show, there'll be my disclosure and contact information. But again, you can always find my website at gulfcoastfa.com. It has all my contact info there. If you're a business owner, business leader, entrepreneur, and you'd like to come on and have this kind of conversation, feel free to reach out. If you're someone that enjoys how we handle things and some of the content we've put out and you have questions regarding finances, insurance, investments, things like that, please, by all means, give us a call. There's no cost, no consultation fee. We love to help people figure these things out. I want to thank you all very much for your time. I want to thank Mr. Lee Lawson. This was awesome. This was even better than I expected. And hopefully you all join us again for the next one. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Focus on the 5. If you are interested in learning more about Josh Knoll and Gulf Coast Financial Advisors, you can find us at gulfcoastfa.com, call 251-327-2124, email josh.knoll@gulfcoastfa.com, or message us on Facebook. Focus on the Five is produced by Josh Knoll of Gulf Coast Financial Advisors. Advisory services offered through Investment Advisors, a division of Pro Equities Inc., a registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Pro Equities Inc., a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA and SIPC. Gulf Coast Financial Advisors is independent of Pro Equities Inc. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Focus on the Five offers commentary and generalized research, not personalized investment advice. Show content is for informational purposes only and does not constitute a complete description of our investment services or performance. All investments involve risk and unless otherwise stated are not guaranteed. Be sure to consult a tax professional before implementing any investment strategy.